Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sal Moore Book Show, episode 576. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Luke Richardson, archaeological thriller author, awesome guy, cool Brit. How are you doing, Luke?
Yeah, I'm really well. What an introduction.
I
I'm loving
know,
that.
I
Thank you,
know. It
Brian.
gets. I'm going to build on it every single time.
I know, yeah.
We talked a lot about kind of writing to market. We talked a lot about tropes not being cliches and how we want to get to that point. I mean, you had written another series, detective series, that didn't take off. Then you wrote the archaeological thriller series. Do you feel like you knew enough when you were writing the first book of the archaeological thriller series that, like, yeah, I nailed it. This is great. Like, what sense did you know that it was going to work?
It's a good question. I remember I put it on pre-order.
Yeah.
And I got like about 3 times more pre-orders than I'd had on any book before. And I was just like, and all I had was the cover and the sales description,
Right.
Obviously I'd written the book anyway, but no one had read the book other than me. And I just thought, yeah, this is hitting it more. The cover it was on brand. It fit the genre. It was really clear what it was. The sales description was really sort of clear what the book was and what it was, and the direction it was going in. And the book was great. I stand by that. In fact, I reread it about a year ago and noticed, even in 3 years, that I changed a lot as a writer, as we do. But I was like, great, pleased with that.
Still holds up. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've definitely talked to other authors. It's kind of funny because we're going to talk about pre-orders today. But I've talked to other authors who had a similar experience. They put out the pre-order. They had the on-market cover, the on-market blurb. No one had even read the book, but it was already pretty clear from the blurb. Because you can tell if a blurb if it's not the market. It's why I've taught a course in the past called Blurb to Market, because if you write the blurb first and it's not to market yet, you can still edit it, fix it, then get the outline in good shape. But if you start seeing pre-orders that are more than usual, that's a good sign.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so that made me think, great, this is the thing. And I wrote the first 3 or maybe 4 quite quickly because I wanted to. There was a point at which I needed to be able to really spend money on ads as well. I wanted to have a few sort of ready to go. And then from there have bought out about 2 a year in that series since
awesome.
They started. Yeah,
that's amazing. Wow, good stuff. We got another great episode for y'all today. Remember to go check out Luke's website, LukeRichardsonAuthor.com/adventure author insider, all one word there, so that you can go check out some of Luke's authory tips and learn from a guy who's doing great. Why not?
Exactly right.
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly. We had a question a couple weeks ago. I'll quiz you on this one here too, Luke. Question of the week was, what is the best mindset book you've ever read? How woo-woo would you consider yourself? Jason Hamilton, you think on that. I'm gonna give these answers. You can think on that.
Sure.
Jason Hamilton said, pretty woo-woo. I don't think I could pick one book. Maybe You're Not Broken is the book he chose, by Chris Duncan. I haven't read that one, but that sounds awesome. Chandra Lynn Smith said, Take Joy by Jane Yolen. I have read it several times. It is a balm for the writer's heart. I love that. Raylan Rose said, Right to Riches and Get Rich Lucky Witch. It's not witch, but I'm not cursing on this show. Are my 2 faves, and I'm only a little woo-woo. I'm also a fan of Right to Riches, Raylan, and but I would say my first woo-woo book that I loved was Happy for No Reason by Marcy Shimoff. It was a great book and was kind of my first woo-woo taste.
I like it.
What about you, Luke? I put you on the spot with this one.
Yeah, I know this isn't really author related, but I think I am. Yeah, I think I there's something there, isn't there? There's something. Yeah. There's something more, that we tune into every so often. As for my favorite mindset book, that's a hard one. Have you read a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance?
No, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one. That's quite woo woo ish. Well, no,
Yeah.
is it woo? I don't know whether you describe it as that. It's more about sort of just being in,
Yeah.
being present
Mindful
and
and
being
present.
mindful.
I'd say that counts
Yeah,
as woo woo.
and the other one is
Yeah.
Turning Pro by, oh, who's that by?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
He's been on Joe's show too. I'm going to look it up. We're
Pros. This is why you put me on the spot. If I'd have
Pressfield, Stephen
Pressfield,
Pressfield.
that's it.
Yeah,
But
that's a good book. I really like
yes,
Turning Pro.
yes.
That's awesome. I know. We're like, oh, we're on the spot. Awesome. Well, y'all, you can answer good answers, by the way, Luke. I liked it. You guys can answer the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or at sellmorebookshow.com. I wanted to let people know the challenge is coming back, finally. It's literally been almost a year since we've done one. We had kind of a modified challenge a while back. So it used to be 5-day author ad profit challenge. We've added 9 days to it. It's now the 14-day author ad profit challenge, but it also now costs $9. So we added 9 days, cost $9, which you'll spend on ads in no time anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll link to that. We'll email out about it. 14-day author ad profit challenge. We're really excited about it. And now it's evergreen. So you don't need to be like, oh, well, I'm out of town that week. Well, that's okay. You can start it next week and it'll be just fine. So we'll share some more about it. It will be at authorsadvertise.com and other links, but that'll eventually take you there. So go check that out. Luke, are you ready for the top story?
Yes, excited about this.
All right. Yeah, me too. Pre-order samples starting April 14th. Hey, that already happened. Amazon will start testing Kindle ebook samples of books that are available for pre-order, reports Jane Friedman in her Bottom Line newsletter, previously known as the Hot Sheet. Quote, this feature will work exactly like the read sample feature that already exists on Amazon today, says Friedman. The preview will show up to 10% of the manuscript if it's uploaded to the system. Amazon will automatically generate the reading sample, end quote. As Amazon notes in the KDP community post on the subject, the feature relies on the author uploading a manuscript file, just like a reading sample for a live book. Therefore, if no manuscript has been uploaded, no reading sample will be shown. Quote, you are not required to upload a manuscript to maintain your existing pre-order until 72 hours before your release date, says Amazon. If you've uploaded a final manuscript, no action is needed. A sample will be generated automatically from your book, end quote. Because of this change, author Kirsten Oliphant warns that authors who are in the habit of loading up junk pre-order files should stop doing so, as potential readers can now end up reading something that's not your best work instead. Amazon also points out that reading samples are not updated or available immediately. Once your book is available for purchase or live for ebook pre-orders, the reading sample will display within a few days. If you make updates to your book, it will take additional time for the sample to update with the latest content, which can be 7 to 8 business days for ebooks. Amazon says this new pre-order feature will help sell more of your books by enabling purchasing within the samples themselves. That's interesting. Amazon also uses the sample text to improve Amazon search results. Quote, when customers search for books on Amazon.com, we use the actual words that match inside the book to return the best possible selection of books. That purchase through the pre-order thing, very interesting. Luke, you said you're excited about this. What has you excited?
Yes, so that's what you've just said at the end there was even more interesting, wasn't it? That they're going to use that pre-order sample for some kind of SEO within the Amazon the Amazon system. Fascinating.
Yeah, and you wonder, will that SEO be locked in once the initial sample is created? Will the SEO update when the sample has been, updated to reflect the newest version? Hopefully they're not all that different, but you never know, especially if people have been using junk pre-order files.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions here that I will tell you, just from working with Amazon, knowing Amazon, 2 people at Amazon know the answer to this, and there's no way to get a hold of them.
Do you know what I'm slightly disappointed about this with?
Okay,
what I would like is that you could upload the sample that from the beginning that you think will be the sample at the beginning of the book. So you put it in a different box and you upload it when you're ready. Because then what I could do, and the reason I upload quite late, or I've been guilty of that, is because I've got a team of beta readers and editors and whatever, and they're always right until the 11th hour, even though I say, please get all those corrections over to me, you know,
Of course.
they're always sending stuff right to the end.
Of course.
And I don't want to have to keep re-uploading the same file, so I often leave it until quite close to the deadline. But what would be helpful is then I could just send the first 10% to my editors and my proofreaders, and I could say, do this, send that back, and then do the rest. And then that bit can go on the website.
That brings up a great point, though, Luke. What if you did that anyway?
So the first bit was good, and the rest
bit is going to be perfect. You send the first bit 5 weeks out instead of maybe 3 weeks, so you make sure that that's perfect, so that you the rest of it doesn't matter. They aren't going to see the other 90% until they buy the book, and so that's Brian's idea based on your idea.
No, that's a good point, actually, and I hadn't thought about that. Yes.
That's why, hey, together everyone achieves more. So,
absolutely right.
Luke, how do you think, to get into the hot potatoes of wisdom here, how do you think authors can maximize the use of reading samples in general?
So, of course, the most important thing here is starting with a big crash, with something. And I say this to readers all the time, to writers all the time, and people that ask me about their books. And they send it to, a few writers. I've read the first few pages, and it's just, I'm like, come on, this is a conversation. This shouldn't be here. We need something that's absolutely tearing that reader into the book at this point. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, that's what it needs to be. That conversation has its place, but this isn't it. This is the bit. This is the part of the book that it should just absolutely fly. Also, things like all the links to the other content, links to your mailing list, all of that stuff, put it at the back. If people get to that, that's a bonus. The most important thing is that they read that specific book at that specific time. All of that other stuff is sort of secondary, I think.
Love it. You got a question for me?
Yes. Okay, so do you think, it's a good question, do you think it's worth the effort to include this reading sample for pre-orders, or just wait until it launches?
Well, I wonder what the conversion is going to be on this so-called purchasability through the pre-order sample. I wonder, because we don't know. And when we have an unknown variable, we can't necessarily know what the answer is going to be. I mean, one would think it's going to increase pre-orders. One would think that this feature is going to increase pre-orders, which is what we want, which is what every author wants. And so if it is going to help pre-orders, then this idea, we'll call it the Luke Bryan idea, to make fun of the country artist there. The Luke Bryan pre-order prophecy. Well, if you get your 10% in really good shape, your first 10% in really good shape, and then, the rest of it, you're kind of working till the end, till those last 72 hours to get up there, then maybe this is going to be something that increases the pre-orders for everyone. But we don't know. We'll get some data when we get it. We'll see. We'll know for sure. But because it might increase it, you might want to consider getting your first 10% in good shape early. Because, it sounds like they're testing this now. So I don't know if it's enabled for everyone, but I would quit uploading the junk pre-orders, just like Kirsten said, because you want to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you think it will be more important for a first in series or for a subsequent second, third, fourth, fifth in series?
That's a good question. I think often the later in series is going to be purchased by the fans anyway.
Yes.
So probably first in series.
And actually, that's easier to do, isn't it? Because on a first in series, often you've written it and you've done you've got a bit more lead time because no one's actually waiting for that book at that time.
Exactly.
And sometimes you might wait 6 months or something to release it. So actually, in that situation, that's a really, really good time to do it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Awesome. Well, let's go into the lightning round, and we need another sound. So here you go, Luke. Ooh, that was good. That was like the cymbal crash. It resonated. I like it. So Luke, your books are based on history and ancient legends. How do you keep yourself from falling down super interesting stories down that research rabbit hole?
It's a tough one, to be fair. I sort of welcome the rabbit hole, actually, because it's a
Yeah.
fun part of the process.
Yeah.
Although I generally do most of the research before the writing, actually
Okay.
sort of fingers on keyboard writing, and then try not to get too distracted whilst I'm doing that. But also, I will admit this to you, I don't actually get too bogged down with what is and what isn't true. I get an
Mm,
idea and I know something because I've been there or researched it or done the reading. And actually, if what I write is slightly different to that, that's fine because it's fiction, right?
yeah.
I'm concentrating more on the what if, the fun hypothetical scenario about the Ark of the Covenant or the Seal of Solomon or the what's really beneath the Great Pyramids of Giza, as opposed to, what hard and fast data do we have about this specific thing from that specific time.
That's funny. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So you're able to play a little loose and fast, which is nice.
Funnily enough, though, in two or three books, something I've written has proved to be true.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. That's
I know, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Similar question, but from a different angle, from you to me.
Yes. So, how do you not fall down that rabbit hole when doing the book marketing?
So this is tough because I already talked about how most authors 50% shiny object, 50% writing. Because every single marketing thing is a shiny object. You find out about, oh, this new tool that maybe uses AI. Oh, I said it. That uses AI and revolutionizes your schedule. Or this other thing that's a new course on a new marketing method. That you have to take the course and it's 20 hours and do all that. I'm a big fan of just-in-time learning. You commit. The thing I'm focused on right now is Facebook ads, or the thing I'm focused on right now is TikTok, or the thing I'm focused on right now is research. And that needs to take up the bulk of the marketing time. Everything else, put it in the 20% box. But you need to commit, especially if you know that you are distracted easily. Especially if you describe yourself as saying, squirrel. You need to put those, in bowling, you need to put the bumpers up. You need to put guardrails. You need to make sure that if you know yourself, you know that you are prone to these distractions. You need to protect yourself. You need to commit. We talked about last week, six-figure authors, almost all of them had this moment where they decided they needed to be more commercial. I would say another thing that six-figure authors have committed to is they've said, I am going to focus on getting this thing good.
Yes.
Whether it's this marketing tactic or this series. I'm going to focus on getting this thing good, and I'm going to put blinders on to block out a lot of the other stuff.
Yes, I agree with that completely. And I also think that you're a writer. I'm a writer.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
only thing I need to excel at is writing. Everything else I can do good enough. I can do
Yep.
average. I can do well enough. If my cost per clicks are slightly more than a really expensive ad agency, or if my Facebook things I don't post quite so often as someone who's got a team to do this for them, that's fine because I'm a great writer and that's what I spend my time doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I might quibble on the agency part, but
I know. But for a new writer, you wouldn't.
We don't even work with new writers.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right.
Absolutely. I was just having fun with it. All right. So, Luke, what common mistakes you've been working, talking with writers more often now? What common mistakes do you see new thriller authors making?
Yes, and what we've just mentioned one there actually, which is a very common mistake. But another one is I've seen people who try to stand out rather than blend in, and I think that is it's counterintuitive, isn't it? Because you're like, this is my book, I want it to stand out, I'm going to make it look different to all the other books. So someone sees it on Amazon and they're like, wow, that book It is so different. But it doesn't work like that because they don't know what that book's going to be if it stands out. It needs to blend in with the other books that it is close to. So if it is a police procedural, it needs to look like a police procedural. If it's a psychological thriller, it needs to look like a psychological thriller, even if you don't like the covers with the woman at the window. That's sort of how it needs to be able to sell these things. Yeah, it needs to be really clear on that genre, because you see it like, and you all have talked about this.
Oh yeah.
That book is sort of like a promise to the reader, isn't it? It's promising them that you'll deliver a certain story, a certain element of a story. Yeah. And if that promise is broken because the book isn't what they expect, that's where you get bad reviews. That's where you get people not reading through and all of those sorts of things. I remember a book I read recently. It was an archaeological thriller, much like mine. And about a third of the way through, they stepped through a door into another realm. And I was just like, no, this is a different genre altogether. This is a different genre. It's fine, don't get me wrong, but you haven't told me that this was some kind of portal sci-fi fantasy thing. It was a straight up archaeological thriller on the blurb and on the cover. So that's something I think you need to be really careful of.
That was the Fight Club twist.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you 100%. You've got a question for me.
I have, yes. So how has the current economy changed readers' behavior, and how can we work with that?
I was reading a stat. It said, biggest stock market drop since May of 2020. And I thought to myself, in the midst of the early pandemic, book sales actually went up. Book sales went up the last time the stock market went down by a lot. And I thought, well, yes, of course, some of that is going to be because people were stuck inside. But people weren't stuck inside for years, and yet book sales continue to improve 2020, 2021 as well, before maybe dropping off, leveling off a little bit in 2022. So I thought to myself, was the pandemic the full reason? I don't think so. I think part of it is, look, people are worried about spending money. They're maybe not going on as many trips. Maybe they're not doing as many leisure activities, which means they are going to read books. And there are some authors who have seen a drop. Maybe there's Amazon boycotts, maybe there's not. But I have seen plenty of authors still rise. I have seen authors have their best months ever in March. And that doesn't happen unless there are still lots of fundamentals that work. Ads, social media, writing great books that fit with the genre that readers are expecting it to be. These things are not going to change as being able to impact readers buying books. I have seen authors have successful Kickstarter campaigns since the economy has had a bit of a hit. I have seen a Polycon, which we sponsored this past week 2 weeks ago in Washington, D.C., a reader event with thousands and thousands of readers. And I saw people posting on social media about the 50 books that they bought. People are still buying books. People are still reading. And to get a little bit woo-woo on you, could it be that you're saying things are bad and then you're making that luck happen for yourself? Just to be a little woo-woo about it, because I think that does happen. But when authors think success is possible, as it was in May 2020, I think that you will find more opportunities for success.
Yeah, agree with that completely. Yeah, exactly right.
Last question for you, Luke.
Oh, yes.
So, what is the next big thing you're excited about when it comes to reaching more readers the rest of 2025 and beyond?
Oh, so many things. I've got the next Eden Black book, the Sahara event, which will be my 7th in the series that I'm working on at the moment. That will be out towards the end of the summer. I should probably get that first page on Amazon.
I know, as we've talked about. First page is good.
I've also been working on a couple of collaboration projects, which are really exciting. I sort of decided last year that I needed to slow down on that series because I had 6 books and wanted to diversify a little bit and start bringing some other things in. So I've done a spin-off series with another guy and another, which is called The Shadow of the Sunstone. Similar vibe, set in the Caribbean, ancient mysteries, lost curses, ancient civilizations, all of this thing. But the protagonist is a retired Air Force pilot who lives on a Caribbean island having a great life. So it's really cool vibe, that book. So we're working on that at the moment. That'll be out at the end of next month, end of May. And I'm also publishing a book for another guy, which is called James Richardson. Funnily enough, we share the same surname. That's just coincidence.
Nice.
And that's called The Valhalla Key, and that'll be out the month after June. It'll be, that'll be out in June. So loads of new books, some of which I'm writing myself, others of which I'm working with other people to write. Which would be really cool. And of course, you've mentioned it already, my new mailing list for authors and people who are interested in writing and publishing. It's a totally new thing at the moment. It's LukeRichardsonAuthor.com/adventure author insider. Totally new thing. So it's just a small mailing list of people who are interested in that. And you'll be one of the first people on there. So you'll get to lead that conversation and tell me what you're interested in knowing about and hearing about as well. So it's basically just to stop telling my readers about publishing things and have 2 groups of people. So it'd be welcome. Anyone listening to this, you're absolutely welcome to join us should it be of interest to you.
Love it. Definitely go check that out, folks. Look, we need a question of the week. We could ask about these rabbit holes. I am interested. Like, how do you keep yourself from falling down research or book marketing rabbit holes? What do you think?
Or what do you find is like a good ratio of research to? I know you shared the 80-20 one before, didn't you? Or maybe that was last week. They all just merged together these weeks.
I know. It's all combined. And we're wearing the same clothes. I love this. Good ratio between writing and research. I love it. You can answer the question of the week over at Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or the Sell More Book Show website, sellmorebookshow.com. Go check out LukeRichardsonAuthor.com/adventure author insider to get on that new list. Luke, it's been a delight to have you here these couple of weeks.
Yes, it has. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. I did too. Awesome. Well, we'll have another guest co-host next week, so stay tuned for that. Diving into I guess it's technically like year 12, beginning of year 12 of the Sell More Book Show. Still going strong. We're still here. Keep on rocking, folks. Go check out the new challenge, authorsadvertise.com. Hopefully it's set up and Charlene doesn't get mad at me. But appreciate you guys so much for listening. Thank you. For Luke, I'm Brian. Have a great week of book selling, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week for episode 577. Bye.